We talked all about your not-for-profit stuff and about your son John. Um, but you are now doing international scouting for the NBA as well. Tell us a little bit about that. And we still need to talk about this year's Purple Aces. We'll get
Yeah,
there. Don't worry.
we'll get there. We'll get there. So, right now I serve as like a consultant to some NBA agencies. I'm not going to name right now, but after there was an article that just came out that said the future of the NBA is running through Africa.
Hmm.
Right now, there's 400 jobs in the NBA players. I think there's 135 international kids. I think they said by 2028 there's going to be 50%, 200 of the 400 players are going to be internationally born, and the big influx is no longer coming from. It's still going to be Europe and Australia. The big influx is going to be from Africa because
Hmm.
the kids are so physically gifted. What they've lacked in the years is the coaching and the training to have the skill set to be able to be effective here. Now there's more investment going on there, and that's what I've been doing. So I'm a little bit ahead of the game there. Um, and yeah, man, I mean, it's just been great to go over there and identify the talent and do that. I don't know if I answered your question, but I
No,
think,
it's great. I just want people to realize that you're actually doing that for other people as well, not
yeah,
just your not-for-profit thing. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that's
yeah. So
exciting.
to answer your question, there's been people that have seen that. So John's not the only kid that I brought here. Almost every kid that I brought here is doing really well. Simon Guy is ranked top 50 in the country after only being here for 1 year. Um, and I think what people noticed was when the kids first get here, the average eye would say that kid is terrible. When John first got here, and he'll tell you this, he didn't know what 3 seconds was. He had never been taught a post move, had never been taught how to dribble, none of that stuff, which was
Hmm.
actually good for me because I got a blank slate. I didn't have a bunch of bad habits to break.
Sure.
Same thing with Simon. I mean, I remember he went to an AAU tryout and they were like guards on this end, bigs on this end, and he jogged down with the guards. Um, and everybody, like the AAU team, cut him. Essentially, they were like, "This kid at 7'3". Imagine that, a 7'3" freshman. He was that bad. He was that bad and not knowing the rules of the game within the first few months he got here. 1 year later from that date, he's ranked in the top 50. And so that's where
And he's got a great high school coach.
yes, yes. And
I love Kevin Walsh.
He's around a really good team, has some
Yeah.
good shooters. And so, I think that's where people took notice. Like, how did you know that kid was going to be that good that quickly, considering he was that bad? And because there are other 7-footers who never materialize, they just stay really clumsy or
Sure.
they don't develop. And so that's what I've been kind of that's one of the things that I do for some agencies now.
Let's talk about the Purple Aces up 23-24. Your friend David Ragland's the head coach, and we talked about Craig Snow a minute ago. They got out of the box pretty well. They were a much better team than they were a year ago. The injury to Hummerkaus has really derailed them a little bit, but they've got some talent on that team. And I remember when they signed Chuck Bailey out of Michigan, he had maybe more stars behind his name than maybe Evansville deserved, if I can say that by
Yes.
by the way that people would think about it. But he
Sure.
ended up at Evansville, and he's having a dynamic freshman year and will be on the all-freshman team if he's not the freshman of the year in the league. But talk about some of those guys you helped bring to Evansville and how they're progressing this year.
Yeah, I'm really proud of what I did recruiting at Evansville. I think in the 1 year I was there, it was only 1 year and shorter than what I thought it was going to be when I arrived. However, I left to chase my passion, which I think everybody can understand that. But while I was there, Kenny Strawbridge was the first kid that
Mm-hmm.
committed to me. I was talking to his dad when it was in talks of Coach Ragland getting the job, and then maybe I would be hired. And Kenny had some other offers out there, and he was like, "I'm waiting to see if you get the job because wherever you go, I'm going." And I appreciate that. So like sometimes I'm on the internet or I'm on Twitter, and some guy said something to me about this. I was like, "My guy," I call these kids my guys.
Right.
Well, they are. I mean, these kids showed me a tremendous amount of loyalty when they didn't have to. I had never, I hadn't coached at UE. UE was coming off of a 6-win season,
Sure.
and you're saying I'm going to wait to see where you go, even if it's at Evansville. So that's my guy. I love Kenny for that. And
True story. Before we go there, but true story. You and I are having lunch together, and while we're talking, your phone goes off, and you said, "Oh my gosh, I think Ragland's getting the job, and I'm going to be at Evansville. I mean, we're having lunch together, and it's all happening in real time. That was really fun for me to just be in this in real time. Keep talking about your guys, but that was just so fun for me.
No, so yeah, Kenny came in, and we struggled that year, but he was all conference, right? And so I think that helped recruiting for the next year for me to show guys, because Kenny averaged 11 points at Alabama State, so it was what you would call a low major going to a mid major. And to go from 11 points to 16 points in all conference, I used that in recruiting and told kids like, hey, this is what we did with him. We can do the same with you. The player development here is going to be really good for you. Then, like you mentioned, Chuck Bailey. I played professional basketball with his dad in Ukraine. Me and his dad have been friends for a long time. He knows how I work. He knows like I'm all about accountability and things like that. And he wanted his son around someone like that. And like you said, he was getting recruited by Kansas and Illinois and New Mexico,
big time schools
and schools that we really should have no business competing with. Some of that was he went past the early signing period, which once that happened, that really opened up the door for me to come in. But again, I'm thankful to him for trusting me because he still had other options. He didn't have to go to Evansville, stayed at Evansville even after I left. So I'm thankful to him for that. And then with Ben as well, I still have it in my text. We played against Huntington in the exhibition game. And I did the scout. So I was watching him and all the other guys. And as I was watching the scout, I'm like, he was the third leading scorer on that team. But I'm watching this kid. I'm like, man, he's 6'9". He's shooting over 40% from three, averaging over a block a game, and is super high character. Like a super high character kid. Like, what is this kid doing in the NAIA? And so we played him. And right when the game was over, I know his trainer, another guy who I'm really good friends with, Coach Jared Newsom. He trains a lot of kids in Indiana. And I wasn't, I don't want to say like I was like, what is it? I wasn't doing anything illegal. I wasn't, recruiting in the season. But I did text Coach Jared and said, hey, this kid is really, really good. Is there a chance? Because he had already told me that there was a chance that he was wanting to go D1 after this year.
Because he's a grad transfer. So, yeah.
Yeah. So we were talking about what he would do the next year leading into the game. So right when the game was over, I was like, hey, are you serious? Is this kid going to be available over the summer? He was like, yeah, he very well may be. And I said, I can tell you right now, if he's available, I want him. And Ben, I believe, was 3 for 11 from the field, 2 rebounds, 1 for 2 from the free throw line. Didn't have, I think he had like 9 points or something, like nothing really good. But again, I saw something in him that was like, this kid can be good. He can be really good. And I know when we signed him at Evansville, USI had just signed a guy from UConn, right? And they had just got Kyron Powell from Houston. And everybody was like, oh, USI is getting all these high majors and UE's getting NAIA guys. Well, I'd like to see, let's compare. Nothing against those guys.
Sure.
Ben has had NBA scouts at probably 5 of his games. Now, they're so serious about him that the Bradley game, when he was out, they sent a scout to go watch how he behaved on the bench.
Wow.
Right. It's not even like, once kids need to realize that once you get to that level, it's not just about how you play. It's about your character and everything off the court. They sent a scout knowing he wasn't going to play just to see how good of a teammate he was and how he behaved on the bench. That's how serious they are about possibly him getting in the NBA this year. And so to be able to identify that from the NAIA and for his family to trust me, those are 3 of the top 4 leading scorers for UE right now. Those 3 and Yassine. And so I feel really proud about what I helped bring to Evansville in the year that I was there.
Let's talk about Evansville a little bit in the Valley, in the what I would call the NIL transfer portal era. It's a league that's kind of in between, right? Like I think in the net today, the Missouri Valley Conference is the 10th highest ranking team in the net, 10th highest in KenPom. Those are good places to be, and yet there's going to be players gravitating north and south, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
Talk about the challenges that a guy like David Ragland has at Evansville and or any of those other coaches in the Missouri Valley Conference, where money is a big part of the whole deal now, more than it used to be, and the access to leave whenever you want is there as well.
Yeah. again, I've been tweeting more because I have more time on my hands now. But I remember one time I tweeted about it, and I literally told Evansville fans, like, if you want to keep these guys, you need to start donating to the program. It's just, that's the new landscape. And unfortunately, schools in smaller cities, it's more traditional and conservative, and people are having a hard time grasping that I need to pay money to keep this kid, right? I mean, realistically, if Ben doesn't get drafted, he's probably going to garner, I'd say, $150 to $200 in the NIL portal, from another Power 5 school. Chuck Bailey, if he gets freshman of the year, probably will be able to get at least $100,000 somewhere. And so Josh Hughes, who's another very talented young big man,
really coming on. He's been
really
growing all season. Yeah.
Everybody wants a 6'11" guy who can shoot and defend around the rim. That's at least that's worth $50,000 today, at least. And so, I think it's difficult trying to get a community to buy into that when this is so new. And so that is the challenge. Josh Schertz at Indiana State, there's a reason they're number one. They're doing a really good job with NIL. He's a heck of a coach, and I think he should probably get the DePaul job at the end of the year when it opens up.
Stop it! I want to keep good guys in the Valley. Stop it! I'm erasing that part of the tape.
Yeah, he's really good. He's really good. He plays an exciting brand of basketball. But when we were recruiting against them, I mean, we were hearing about how guys were going to get cars and maybe $20,000, and we weren't offering any of that. And so when it's that close of getting a player or not getting a player, and a lot of fans are sometimes blinded by their fandom, if that's a word, but they're like, wouldn't you just want to go to a great culture and be a part of a great tradition? Yes, I would, but I would also like to do that with a car and $20,000 in my pocket, right? Who wouldn't? Sure. Who really wouldn't? And so if you can get the same experience somewhere, but money along with it, of course, that's what kids are going to choose. And so, I think some MVC schools are doing much better than others. Schools like Drake, who are in much bigger markets, probably have an advantage. Josh Schertz is doing a great job, even though he's in Terre Haute. So, I think that's when you get hired as a head coach, fundraising was always a part of the job, but now it's a mandatory part of the job. Because if you can get your NIL money right, you can go and recruit all you want. I'm just saying this right now. This is no shade towards Evansville. If they don't get their money up, there's a very high likelihood that they might lose some of their best players in the portal.
Or not be able to attract new best players. I mean, it's just an ongoing thing. You're right. I talked to a Division I head coach in the last week or so, and he said, I just don't like it as much as I used to. And I've got lots of friends that want to quit. Yeah. Because of it, the landscape has changed, and it's just a different job now. It is. That's not what they signed up for. Maybe one of those coaching positions needs to be fundraising coach. I don't know, because
that's where you
it's
have
a big deal.
That's where you have the collective, and Evansville's still trying to build their collective up. But, the Missouri Valley, and this is what I'll say about the Valley, there are so many good players in the Valley that, and it's been proven, and this is just off the top of my head, but over the last couple of years, you just think about the guys who left. I tell coaches all the time, what do you think about this kid? If a kid is averaging 15 points a game in the Missouri Valley, he's going to be good at the high major level, because the Valley is historically, people will just send 4 back on defense. They don't crash the boards as much because it's so well scouted that a coach says, I'd rather you play against 5 on defense than take a chance of maybe not getting the offensive rebound, and now you're scoring in transition. So now players are learning in the Valley, you have to score in tight spaces. When you go to the Power 5 schools, it's so up and down. Guys are so much more athletic. They're hugging their man on defense, and so there's more room to score. You look at Isaiah Mosley, left Missouri State and was good at Missouri. Noah Carter left Northern Iowa, is good at Missouri. Antonio Reeves left Illinois State and is the leading scorer at Kentucky. DJ Horn left Illinois State and was the leading scorer at Arizona State. Marcus Damask left and is one of the leading scorers at Illinois. Lance Jones is a starting point guard on the number 2 team in the country at Purdue. That's just off the top of my head.
Right, right.
Jace Carter at UIC is starting at Texas A&M. Some of these kids weren't even first-team all-conference.
Right.
And they're leading scorers. DJ Horn was third-team all-conference. at Illinois State and was the leading scorer at Arizona State the following year. So the Valley is so good. But to go back to what you're saying, if they can't get their NIL money right, the big boys are going to come and say, hey, here's $100,000. How about you come do this for us and play on national TV a little bit more? And that's just the way it is. And that's why coaches don't like it anymore.
Yeah, it's a hard job. Even for those guys at the high major thing, they're still having to navigate all of that and even losing players within their conferences or to other high major programs. Take us behind the scenes a little bit. Tell us why the qualities in the man David Ragland and why he will be able to succeed. Obviously, he's got hurdles. We just talked about some of them, but talk to us about David Ragland.
You know, Coach Ragland, what he's really good at is talking with people. I think that he does a really good job of when he comes into the room of making friends with everyone and making them feel comfortable, which lends to being able to recruit. You know, I think that, you know, again, like as we talked about in mm-hmm. Hopefully he can use that gift of gab to raise money and to keep the players that he already has. But I mean, to me, that's his best quality of being able to make people feel comfortable in a room. And, you know, you have to be able to recruit. Recruiting is the lifeline of your institution. And so I think that's what I think he does well, and that's what he's going to have to continue to do if he wants to see success.
And tell us what's next, if anything, in your world. I mean, you're about maybe 9 months or a year into, probably, well, not a year even, maybe 6 months into what you're doing right now, meaning you were at Evansville until March or whatever of last year. Is there a next, or, man, this is just what I'm about right now?
No, this is what I want to do. If I can retire doing this, I will. I love what I do. I love helping kids. I love helping people. You know, we've talked about this before, but I'm the youngest of 15 kids. And there were times when I was young, I remember being in 6th grade, 5th grade, and going to spending the night at one of my friends' house who was kind of wealthy. And it was the first time I kind of realized that we were poor. They had like 5 bedrooms, and it was only him, his brother, and his parents. So there were 2 empty bedrooms. Everybody had a bunch of shoes. You know, here I am, wondering, am I going to be able to get a new pair of shoes for the basketball season? And somehow my parents always scraped it together to get it done for me. But, you know, I always wondered as a kid, like, why do some people have so much more than others? And why do I not have what I want or need? And why won't someone help? You know? And so I always made a promise. I told John this when we decided to go through with the adoption. You know, he asked me, he was like, you know, why do you love me so much? Why do you treat me like your own son? And I said, John, you're a great kid. You're a great kid. And you make it easy to love you. This has nothing to do with basketball. You know, you're a 4.0 student, respectful, high character, all those things. But this is bigger than you, because when I was 8 years old, I was laying in bed crying one night because I wasn't able to get some shoes or whatever it was I wanted. And I made a promise to God then. I said, God, if you ever put me in position to help other people, I promise I will. I promise. If you give me enough resources to help other people, I will. And so then when he came along, I told him, I said, you were just a deliverance on the promise that I made to God 35 years ago. Right? Like I promised that I would do this if I was able, and I finally was financially able to. And I almost feel sometimes that him coming into my life was God being like, hey, let's see if you're going to do what you said you're going to do. Right. And, you know, and so it made it really easy to do that. But I love helping kids. I mean, that's in my heart. I love basketball. I take it very seriously, sometimes too seriously. You know, that basketball saved my life. And so when I see players not respecting the game and not respecting the work ethic, that bothers me, because I treat basketball like my girlfriend, like my wife. I'm not cheating on it. You know, like it gave me too much.
Sure. And
I want to give back to the game that gave me so much, to travel and to be able to play professionally and do all the things I've been able to do. And so being able to help these kids academically through my nonprofit, being able to identify kids and bringing them here and giving them an opportunity to play and become McDonald's All-Americans and hopefully make money. And John's making money here at OTE and sending money to his family, right? And being able to take care of his family now as a senior in high school, and will even more so with NIL in college and hopefully another day. So, and the NBA. So to be able to do all those things, like, just brings me tremendous joy. And then I'm, you know, training kids off that. That's what I've always done. So I can't see myself ever going back to college coaching. This is what I want to do. I just have to continue to find a way to be profitable in doing it. But as long as I'm able to pay my rent and take care of my kids and doing this, I don't see myself ever leaving.
Is your organization one that accepts donations? And if people wanted to donate to your not-for-profit corporation, how would they do that?
Yeah, so I'm actually in the process. My new website should be up tomorrow, but it's Nurturing Potential. You can put my contact information maybe wherever you post this.
Sure.
And people can reach out via email or my telephone number. But yes, I'll have PayPal. We'll have credit card donations. But yes, it's Nurturing Potential International. It is a 501c3. And you can obviously donate money if this is your passion or if it's a tax write-off. But definitely, the money is not just. I tell people find out because of basketball, but we provide housing, clothes, insurance, education, all those things for kids that need it. And even the kids that come here help pay for their visa process to come to the United States and then be able to, fulfill their dreams here academically and athletically as well. So anyone that's interested, I'd love to tell you more about it or accept a donation if you wanted to donate.
Spectacular. Appreciate your time today. So excited about what you're doing, what the Lord's allowing you to do. I mean, you get to live your dream. It's so exciting.
Exactly.
And wish you and your family all the best. We'll catch up again sometime soon, but appreciate catching up today.
Thank you so much, Father Harry.
That's Marcus Wilson, the Evansville great, and now great at helping young people fulfill their dreams. You've been watching the Valley Hoops Insider podcast right here on valleyhoopsinsider.com. Remember, since you've been there, make it a better place. We'll see you again real soon.